Hi, everybody. I'm Anne Moratto. I'm the Director of Content for Modern Salon. And I am delighted today to be joined by Jerry Holt and Jessica Cataldi. And we're going to be talking today about micropoint solutions, specifically micropoint links for thinning hair. What it is, how it's performed, who it's for, what stylists would be right for performing this kind of service. So first, to get us started, I'm going to give you a brief intro to Jerry and Jessica, and then we're going to jump into some questions. So Jerry Holt has been a trainer and stylist educator for International Hairgoods for over 5 years. His unique experience and long tenure in the hair industry positions him to deliver comprehensive technical direction, as well as a wealth of business and marketing knowledge. And we're so happy to have him here today. Jessica Cataldi brings 20 years of experience as a prominent hair replacement technician, expert, and educator. And for the past 16 years, she's committed herself to specializing in hair loss prevention services, promoting healthy hair growth, and providing exceptional hair replacement and micropoint solution services. So, Jessica, welcome. Jerry, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
for having us.
thank you. And Jessica, why don't we jump in right away and talk about who is the best client for this service? First, actually, why don't you tell me what are micropoint links for thinning hair?
All right. So our micropoint links is a strand by strand service. So we incorporate 2-strand, 4-strand, or 6-strand hair additions to one single strand of the client's growing hair. So it is a very natural, healthy way to give somebody their hair back. There's no adhesives involved. There's no solvents. There's actually no removal process. So it's going to grow out naturally with the client's own existing hair strand. And during your service, we prep the hair, we get the hair, we go through the integrity of your own hair. Because not only are we focused on giving you hair back in a healthy, natural way, but also preserving your existing hair. Due to the clients experiencing thinning, we want to really preserve those weakened hair strands with the micropoint.
So, who is the best client that is appropriate for this service?
The clients could be men or women, both. Anybody who is in the beginning stages of hair loss. So this could be a wanted service. Maybe people just want more hair. Our focus is the people that really need it. So our focal point is normally the front, top, and crown area of the head where the hair is growing up and out. That's where we want to focus on tying to. We have the most success in those areas. You can tie in other areas. This is actually what our links look like. It's a little bit hard to
Oh,
see on
great. Thank you. I'm
virtual.
so glad we have a visual. Okay.
So this is the tube. There's 25 links on here, and there's actually 100 additional hairs. So the perfect candidate is just somebody with a realistic expectation. This is not going to be a large abundance of hair. It's going to be a very realistic amount of hair. For somebody, it's going to be very easy for them to manage, to handle. And it's not going to be like your extension services where we give you all this luscious, beautiful hair in the perimeter area. Sometimes that's a little more time consuming to take care of. The micropoint links is a fantastic add-on service. I just mentioned extensions. When we give that fullness in the perimeter, it can accentuate how fine or thin somebody actually is on top. So this is able to be placed in areas where extensions cannot go. So it's awesome to pair with your other solutions that you already have on your menu also in your salon.
And what does the consultation with the client look like? What are some of the things you ask and talk about with them?
So there is no perfect consultation. So in your regular salon, when you're doing your consultations for a color service, there's specific questions you would ask to be able to meet the expectations of your client. So your consultation is going to flow the same way, only with somebody who's looking to increase the amount of hair that they have or do alternative hair due to hair loss. Sometimes that consultation can take a more emotional path. I mean, there's been times when I'm sitting and crying with the client because it's such an emotional thing to happen to somebody when they're losing their hair. It's drastically altering your appearance and people don't know how to fix that problem. So keeping in mind that that might become part of your consultation, but really just asking all the correct questions that you would need as a stylist to be able to meet the expectations of the client. So big focus is, where's their concerning area? Where do their eyes go to first? What is their problem area? Do you have to part your hair this way to cover any certain spot? Are you looking for a specific look? Do you want minimal maintenance? How much time do you spend on your hair now? So there's a lot of basic questions, but then also really just any question that the stylist needs to feel comfortable performing the service for the client and realizing they're going to be able to meet that expectation. Sometimes you might have to bring a client back down to reality a little bit. Like, we can only tie hair to the hair that you have. So if you have 6 strands of hair on your head and you want full coverage, this probably isn't the path to take.
Right.
So it's really just building that rapport, making the client comfortable, and having a really good understanding of what the client's looking for and can you deliver. During our training, we go over the consultation pretty extensively, teaching salons how to alter and adapt their consultation to suit each client that's experiencing hair loss. And then sometimes there's not a consultation involved at all. Sometimes your client's already in your chair getting a service. Those clients that are looking for volumizing products, or they want all that mousse that's going to give them big hair. Those are all your trigger questions and words that are just going to be like, you know what, maybe I need to talk to this client about this new service.
Thank you. And so, Jerry, picking up from that, how long is a typical appointment, considering this is very fine work?
Right. We get this question all the time in class, whether it be virtual or in person. And I always like to go back to the example of when we first learned how to cut hair. It took 3 hours to do a trim because we just weren't efficient with our partings and we weren't really cleaning. All of us remember this. So the answer is, after the training, especially the in-person training, we're recommending a 3-hour period of time to tie the links in. Now, that 3 hours can be divided up to an hour on a certain day. They could come back the next day. So 3 hours total is what we recommend for a beginner. And as you get more practice and more efficient, just like haircuts and foils, you just get faster and just better at it. So around 3 hours to start with for a beginner.
Okay. And then, you need to send that client home with some care instructions. You need to tell them that their do's and don'ts. What are some of those in terms of styling, and then how often do they need to come back to you?
Fantastic question. So the good thing about micropoint, the aftercare, is next to nothing for the client, honestly. As long as the specialist ties the hair in correctly, which is to one single strand, a client's going to be able to brush seamlessly, comb seamlessly, run your fingers through your hair however you would like, do all styles that you would normally do. You can wear your hair up, you can wear your hair down, you can get a bald fade. All of the aftercare is minimal. The only thing they might have to do a little bit extra is possibly shampoo a little bit more than they are accustomed to. And that's simply to reduce that sebum oil buildup that some people might develop if they're an excessively oily person, because those oils can cause the micropoint to prematurely slide. So really, as long as the specialist attaches the hair correctly, the client's going to have minimal to no maintenance at home. You can still do hot tools, so 350 degrees or less, which is a nice medium heat. It's not quite low. And we recommend that for your natural growing hair anyways. Like, we're not trying to bake a pizza at 425, right? We're trying to get a hairstyle going here. So just for the health of your natural growing hair anyways, we recommend 350 or less. And then our typical happiest client is going to return at about that 4 to 6 week mark with your specialist. So that maybe somebody wants hair for just an event and they might just be getting hair for this wedding to be in these photos. Not every client is going to be a reoccurring client, but this service really is built for that. So 4 to 6 week turnaround, or typically if your client has to come in and get a root touch up, they're coming in for their color. Because the micropoint grows out with the hair strand, they would come in around that same time frame. So when your roots start to show, that's also when you're going to know that this micropoint's starting to grow out away from the scalp, and you'd want to return for an additional hair add.
That's
And
great.
probably, if I could add one more little comment, a lot of beginners ask us about how it feels. And we always explain in class that it really feels like a grain of sand on your scalp. So it's not the giant wefts that you can feel as you rub your hands through, or the keratin link, the keratin extensions, right? The bumpiness of all that. So this is really nearly invisible. So it's quite impressive to see on a real client.
That is a great visual, just a grain of sand. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Jerry, let me stay with you because I know this is sort of a difficult question to answer because there are so many variables based on where
Right.
you live and your market. But how would a stylist charge for this service?
Well, as you said already, the market, right? So we're a national company. So we train people who may be in a rural community in the central part of the US. We train people in LA who are charging $600 a haircut in New York. Prices are all over the place because of your marketplace. So just as everything else in our chair and our service and our menus, prices are a little different. So in class, we work with each student on a personal basis to find out about their business. We want to find out about their chair time, their hourly rate. And every hair person, every hairdresser should know their hourly rate. Now, it's not charged by the hour. It's still charged by the package or the service. Because as you get faster, we don't want you to charge less for that service. So it's a specialty service. It puts you in another league. People are searching for this product out there. And our company, International Hairgoods, we have a salon finder option. So clients can just look up a zip code and pops up in your community. It says you're a specialist in micropoint links. That puts you right there. So we'll work with you one-on-one with your pricing arrangement as far as the package. So it definitely needs by package, not by hourly.
Oh, that's so helpful. So if somebody came and said, I haven't, as you said, you hope we all know our hourly rate, but maybe we don't, and we've got to, think of the cost of goods, my
Right.
time,
Mhm.
everything. But you'll work with somebody to sort
A-
of
a-
factor that
Absolutely.
in.
Absolutely, Anna. And out of all the students we work with, I mean, typically, I think Jess would agree with me. Typically, we're looking for about 125 an hour. And now we're looking for your general cash flow that you can bring into your chair because you've got to minus out all those other expenses to get down to your leftover. So 125 is the general zone, and then you're going to go up by the coasts, right? More expensive on East Coast, West Coast. So that's a general advice. When someone comes in less than 125 an hour, we're like, we'd like to see you raise your price up. Right, Jess?
So if we do have and we have this quite often, some stylists are like, I have no idea. I don't know what my hourly rate is. I don't know what my charge is. Not everybody works for themselves. Some people are
Right.
paid on commission in their salon. They don't have an actual hourly wage, right? So with people like that, you can do comparables to your own pricing. So what we don't want you to lose money to do a 3-hour service. So if you offer another 3-hour service, whether it be a highlight, low light, cut color, what would you charge for that in that 3
Mhm.
hours? You
Mhm.
can start to do comparables to your own service time to get a starting point for your micro point service.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah, that's helpful. Um, so you showed us an example of how fine these hairs are and how detailed this work. So, just what kind of stylist is really going to thrive doing this kind of work?
So I'm happy that you asked that because we have a lot that are like, wow, I didn't realize this is what that was. I'm not sure it's for me, but honestly, like once you get started, I didn't think it was for me when I initially started either. And somebody with patience, because it is a very detailed, intricate service, high attention to detail. My favorite part about micropoint links is you have the ability to get very creative with this service. So we teach you to customize it to suit each client, different methods of tying, different patterns of tying. If you're going to tie in the crown area, you're going to go with the swirl of the hair. So, I mean, it just really takes you to a different level, but it is somebody that wants to be dedicated to learn a new service. There's a lot of practice time involved, so you really have to be dedicated on your own time too. especially because not everybody has time in their salon schedule to mark out time to be able to practice for this. So, and lastly, for me personally, when I started with Micropoint, I was making some important life choices in my career. I had torn both my ACLs. My legs are not as good as they used to be. So when Micropoint was brought to me, it was a perfect opportunity to have a solution where I could sit sometimes and not just stand all the time. And then once I learned it and perfected it and fell in love with it, I mean, I still learn every day. Every training that we have, I learn from our students just as much as they learn from us. But that was the main reason why I chose this for myself. And we have a lot of stylists out there that are a little bit older in the industry, and our bodies are tired. So this is a really good way to be able to rest your body, learn a new service, still make a great amount of money. And if you have those clients that need you lifelong, right? Maybe you start doing their hair as a teenager and then they move into their bridal style. But then people start experiencing loss as we get older. And instead of having to send your clients somewhere else, now you can keep them with you for all the services.
Absolutely. And I love that you kind of teed us up to talk about training with that, because how important that's going to be in a service like this. So Jerry, what does the training look like? What do you offer, and how do stylists access it?
Well, you're going to access through IHI, internationalhairgoods.com, and you're going to get access to make an account for yourself first. So it's going to be requiring a business license, a hairdressing license, and they're going to verify all that. So the people in Minneapolis, our main office, will set you up with an account, and then you're able to sign up for virtual. The virtual is pretty incredible. It's like all companies. We had to pivot during COVID, and we were developing our virtual thing. I thought, oh my goodness, this is never going to work. It works. So we've got the microprint links will take about 2 hours to go through, a little bit of history and how to place it, who it's for, and you're going to have to practice after that. So the 2 hours is just really the information, the technique, and videos. We also travel throughout the US for in-person classes. So typically someone is usually excited, they want to do virtual. So sign up, start tomorrow for virtual, and then get on the schedule to see us in person. Now, the second option, if you do virtual, we offer, Jess will follow up with you on a private one-on-one Zoom, which is amazing. And she will watch you on Zoom do your application. Now we're talking about a mannequin, or maybe it's a friend of yours that you're practicing on. And she's going to be able to see your little things that you may be able to do better to save time. So we're not just training you and leaving you alone. You're going to have access to Jess, in this case, for Micropoint Links, for her to watch you and to get you better at your craft. So you're moving into a brand new specialty item. It's great.
How wonderful. Yeah, that one-on-one, because like Jessica said, to be able to figure out how to follow the pattern, the swirl, or I mean, these things that will take you from proficient to perfection.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got to add a little bit. Because I know, for instance, Jess does a lot of meetings with customers. So they'll have a client in the chair, and the student will say, "Hey, Jess, I just want to confirm that I'm ordering the right amount of hair. Is this correct? Am I?" So she can either agree or adjust the amount of hair, the quantity they're going to add to that particular client, which is very helpful hand-holding.
I love this discussion, and and we've mentioned International Hairgoods, which is the umbrella brand, and underneath International Hairgoods there are these other brands which are solutions. So I just want to kind of circle back to that, Jessica, as we close up. How is International Hairgoods a solution partner for stylists?
Well, we offer multiple different trainings. So we have Micropoint Solutions, which is links and accents. Today we're focused on links, hand tying hair to hair. We also do full hair replacement. We do Cyberhair training as well. Jerry actually hosts that Cyberhair training. We work together for hair replacement and Micropoint. But the thing we really love about our training and being a solution partner is that our training doesn't just end when our class ends. So we do all of the follow-up with you. You can email, call, text. For MicroPoint specifically, I have people send me videos. They're like, I'm struggling with time. I'm not getting any faster. What can I do different? Send me a quick 30-second video. Sometimes it's just, you're just not moving your hand correctly, or we need to tweak one of your techniques just a little bit to save you that little bit of time. Then Jerry also had mentioned that we have the Salon Finder. So once you complete our courses, when you're ready to perform services, we add you to that Salon Finder. So people don't necessarily, you don't even have to necessarily do marketing on your own. People are going to find you. And like Jerry said earlier, there's a lot of people out there looking for this service and cannot find it. So it's really about the after the training is complete. What do we do next? We have follow-up calls. I typically will set up about 4. I'll work with you monthly until you're ready to be on your own, or for as long as you need. I mean, I trained a lady 2 years ago. She just called me this morning. So it's really about building a relationship with our salons as well. Ongoing education. Things are always changing in this industry. So also if we know something has changed, or we get new information, or we have a new technique that might work for you, we reach out to our salons as well and make sure that they're aware of all of those things also.
We also, to add on Jess's conversation, we do reunion Zoom calls. We'll go back to the last 4 classes that we've had in person. That may account for 30 people who've had our class. And it's a family or a community. So someone can say how successful this was. They can also post the clients before and after photos to show off their work. So it creates a community. And when you're in person, you exchange emails, you can talk to each other, you can make friends who are in different marketplaces. That's the beauty of it, is we're not in competition because you're in different areas. Prices are a little different, and we'll share failures and share successes. That's the big deal.
That's great. Yeah, you're right. That collaboration is true partnership. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you both for partnering with me on this interview.
Thank you.
I've
You're
loved
welcome.
learning more and hearing about it directly from both of you. And I'll say goodbye, but I look forward to meeting you in person.